Hello and welcome to Indie Tuesdays, Indie Comic Ninja, episode number 24. I'm your host, Ben Dupé.
I'm Dexter Jacobs.
Romondo Burnside.
And we are your independent comic book ninjas. So, yeah, man, freaking recording program.
Yeah.
Derp computers. All right, so
basis of a podcast.
Good times.
we are an independent comic book podcast where we like to talk about independent comic books. What do we define as independent comic books? Dexter, why don't you take this
That's
one?
a really good debate that could take up the entire show, honestly.
It could, yeah, it could. Because a lot of people are like, Image isn't indie.
Yeah,
but it really is.
I argue that indie is creator-owned, which Image is. So
Yep.
is Dark Horse, so is a lot of things. And I like to differentiate it as small press. So you have independent and you have creator-owned. And then you have like small press. I think a lot of people think independent is just small press, which is basically like if we made a comic and went and published it ourselves. A lot of Kickstarters are small press.
So would you call like Dynamite small press?
No, because it's a publisher.
Okay, so small press would be like
self-published is what I mean by that.
self-published. So if I make a comic book and I go and pay for the publishing.
Technically, small press I think is even further defined as like a certain number of prints, I suppose. So I guess you could still be a publisher or go through a publisher and be small press, depending, as long as you don't print over whatever certain amount that is, which I'm sure is a debatable number as well.
Sure.
But usually, yeah. So when we say indie, though, we mean creator-owned.
Yeah. Yep. So we like to, on this show, Indie Tuesdays, we like to review creator-owned comic books. We do also have, I don't know, is it monthly now, or how often do we do the interview podcast?
I'm actually going to be doing fewer of the reviews with you guys and hopefully getting 1 or 2 interviews in a month.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so we like to interview comic book creators. If you want to have your work reviewed on our podcast, you can submit it to us, and if we're interested in reviewing it, we'll definitely get back to you. Mm-hmm. We can be reached at info@indiecomic.ninja. The same thing applies if you want to be considered for us, like interviewing you or whatever. Yeah. Just send your work to us. We don't interview everything that we get. Sometimes it just, we typically get into a certain type of comic book. Generally, it's like something that's story driven, that has a full cohesive story and that relates to the comic book medium. So if it's manga or stuff like that, I don't know if we're as into that stuff.
Yeah, and I actually, when I was up at MSP Comic-Con a couple weeks ago now, I talked to a girl who has a manga comic coming out. She's going to be doing a Kickstarter pretty soon, so I was probably going to be interviewing her in the next couple months. I'm not 100% sure when that's starting. But
so it doesn't completely rule out manga or anything. We just consider everything that we interview.
I don't think any of us really get into manga, but
do you?
I do a little bit.
I think it's something.
I dabble.
It's something that I don't want to not talk to people about it.
Yeah, we're certainly not excluding anyone. I don't think.
I feel like I'm a jack of all and master of none.
Yeah,
when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, same here. Jack of all, master of none. I like that. Mm-hmm. So, we are a semi-spoiler podcast. We do talk about the comic books that the kids are making these days, and
those kids,
those kids making the books with the pictures in them. We talk about them, and sometimes things get spoiled. We try not to spoil a lot because we do want to promote you to buy these comic books that come out. So we don't want to, straight up just tell you everything that happened in the book. Mm-hmm. But we do want to talk about it and share our enthusiasm about the books that come out. So, just be warned if we're talking about a book that you haven't read yet and you definitely don't want to have anything at all spoiled for you. You maybe just come back later or something. We do talk about other things aside from comic books, things that we're interested in. If you can't handle that, then that's okay. But we talk about those things as well. We do have a Patreon page where you can donate to us, and I typically say help us keep the lights on, but I'm going to have Dexter elaborate on that. What were you using people's money? Were we funding terrorism or
Jesus?
No, that escalated quickly. Yeah, I don't know why that was the first thing. Too much CNN. Yeah,
maybe the terrorizing that we're doing to each other online on Injustice 2, possibly.
Oh yeah,
or
that's
maybe
true.
the terrorizing I've been doing to people playing Friday the 13th.
Well,
people get mad on Injustice.
Oh, man.
Holy crap!
Well, the money that is given to us on Patreon does not fund video games. If you want to, I guess, talk to Ramondo later, you might be able to fund video games.
Yay!
Yeah.
But no. So right now, I think we're making $7 a a month on Patreon. But if we can hit that $20 mark, that would mean we are at least breaking even on this podcast as far as a technical month-to-month standpoint. After that, there's the added cost of hosting fees for the website, for the podcast archive to be kind of located on, as well as just the domain registration each year. Kind of adds up to more or less $50-ish a year for all that internet goodness. And then anything after that is going to go towards swag of sorts that we could be making, shirts, more stickers, buttons, stuff like that, patches, hats, who knows.
The good stuff.
All that fun stuff.
Maybe a little bit further down the line, but it's going to be a fun place to get to where we can start kind of giving things away. And like right now, we just kind of, whenever I get the funds, recently I got those stickers. Did you see one?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I got one on my laptop here.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Yeah, they're really cool.
So yeah, if like we said last time, if you give us a review on iTunes or a helpful tweet about a comic that you've read and some interesting information there, you can tweet at us. You can send us a voicemail as well, which we'll kind of get to later if you haven't talked about it.
Yeah, totally. No, you can. Yeah, we have. So we do have a mail segment, and when someone sends us mail and we think it might give us some good talking points, we'll talk to it or talk on it. Our email address again is info@indiecomic.ninja, and if you want to have your actual voice heard on the show, you can call us at 641-715-3900, extension 345-703. Leave us a voicemail, and we might just play it on the show.
Yeah, and if we do, we'll ask you to give us your address, and we can send you a sticker. Same thing with any iTunes reviews. Shoot us an email somehow proving that you reviewed our show.
Yeah.
And we'll send you a sticker as long as you give us your address. So
yeah, I don't know why anyone would lie about, like, I feel like it would be more work to like fake giving an iTunes review than it would actually be to like,
it's just a hard thing to prove. But no,
take a screenshot of your review or something. I don't know. We'll believe you probably. So
yeah, it's just if you're the second person to claim that you did one of the reviews, we're gonna call you a liar.
We're gonna start questioning some stuff. And that's when things get ugly. So but as always, we do ask you guys please to like, rate, subscribe, review, do that whole positive internet thing. So, just subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast platform of choice. Review us on iTunes. We really love those 5-star reviews. Yeah. And always just check out our Twitter. We tweet stuff from indie creators all the time. So.
Yeah, I'm always I'm the one who is in charge of that. So I'm always retweeting things. So if you tweet your comic or a Kickstarter at us, I'll usually retweet it.
Yeah, you are much more active on Twitter than I am for Nerd Church Radio. And
that's okay.
Mondo is probably much more active than I am.
Much more active on Instagram than I am on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm just,
There's a lot more, I don't know, activity as far as the video game stuff. I don't know, maybe, obviously we just gotten started and we're trying to get our names out there and stuff. But
totally.
There's that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Instagram seems to be like a quicker, put it up there, boom,
it's
boom,
visual
boom,
too.
Activity. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's a very people interact with visuals.
They're two different
pictures.
Beasts,
yeah,
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. They say with Twitter too, like if you're trying to promote, I'll link this to the show, but if you're trying to promote like your comic book and stuff like that, it's really good to like have a picture and try and size it to the proportion to where it will all fit on like a mobile post. Sometimes if you post a tall picture, it cuts off at a weird place. So if you make a picture that's more horizontal and have some words in there or something that kind of grab people's attention, free money, and then not actually, it's about my comic. But stuff like that. So
or you'll never believe what happens on the third page of my comic. Stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, that's probably more considerate. So
just getting clickbaity.
Yeah, totally. I just think about The Office. Do you guys watch The Office?
Oh, I used to.
Well, it's not on anymore.
Yeah, but do you remember the Wolf.com episode?
Yeah. That's a good one.
Or Michael stands in front of the office and he's just like, sex! And then he's like, now that I have your attention. And they're like, you had our attention just by standing here and yelling. So, all right, anyway. So we'll move on. We got a lot of news to talk about today.
News?
All right, so for news this week, first off, I think This is not indie comic related at all. This is kind of comic related, but Wonder Woman crosses the $100 million mark in the opening weekend, which I'm stoked on. I was a little worried about like how much it would make. So that seems high, $100 million for an opening weekend.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about figures or stuff like that, but I know I've seen the movie. Mondo's seen the movie. Mm-hmm. We are going to talk about a Hollywood movie here for a second. So, Wonder Woman movie. What did you think?
I enjoyed it thoroughly. There were a few things that kind of I was like, why'd they do it that way, But that's to be expected. I mean, I went in with an open mind and I wasn't going in like they better do this or this or else I'm not going to like it. Just for the satisfaction of entertainment, it was good. I enjoyed it.
So how about let's do this to keep it quick. Favorite thing and least favorite thing?
I don't know. Favorite thing, I love how they put a little more comedy in there, and they didn't like shoehorn it. It felt like it was natural between her,
totally,
and her lead man, Chris
Pine, Steve Trevor,
yeah. So it felt not natural, and then like her backstory didn't feel weird. It felt like they did a really good job of getting to it, and then building that up, and then hitting the action. Let's ride. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
The ending was a little weird, not weird, but not to my satisfaction, I should say.
Yeah, the third act was a little clunky at times. It was just kind of like it flowed a little strangely or whatever. It wasn't bad.
I love the action and stuff. The action was great. Yeah. They did a great job with that stuff. It just kept catching me every now and again when she like do like these weird little poses and her hair be flowing and stuff. Like, I kind of wanted to be a little more BA in that sense, where it's like I'm angry and I'm going to kick some ass. But it's her origin story, So she's going to be kind of like, I'm new to this. What should I do now? I feel, but I don't know.
I liked it. Yeah, I think my favorite thing was how well Gal Gadot played the fish out of water, sort of being like she knew nothing about our culture at all, but she was. And she played that really well, but she was still really like she never came off as stupid. Like she was just kind of didn't know about our culture. But she speaks hundreds of languages. She's really so you can tell she's really smart. It's just she doesn't know a lot about our culture. So that was my favorite thing. I don't know, man. I think my least favorite thing, it sounds nitpicky, but there was this one scene at the very beginning where you see like little kid Diana falling and like the background behind her looks really weird while she's falling. Like
because of the green screen type stuff?
Yeah. Like it's very, very obviously green screen. It was... But that speaks volumes to like how good this movie was. That I found a little thing that I didn't like. I mean, there was so much more good than there was bad. I was super proud, man. I loved it. It just made my heart happy.
I guess it was technically the first DC movie to like really like really
DC
good
extended universe movie.
Yeah,
I think Man of Steel did pretty well too. Batman v Superman didn't do very well with critics. Neither did Suicide Squad. So yeah, it's good, man. It made me happy. So I'm always a huge DC Comics guy. So I love to see them succeed in any way. So.
And they're saying too that it's the biggest opening ever for a female director.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, and female directors in Hollywood, man, there aren't as many out there. It seems like it's kind of a man's game out in Hollywood with directing movies and stuff. So it's cool to see more work like that come for females because there are very talented female directors. So yeah. So all right, so we'll move on to some comic related news. I just had to mention that because I am very happy about that movie. Next bit of news, Image Comics has released the first 6 of 11 Pride Month variant covers that will release in June. The variants are intended to celebrate the LGBTQ community and the progress made by the gay lesbian movement in promoting inclusivity and supporting for all. So I'll list off some of the books here, and this actually branches off into another bit of news that I'm pretty excited about that I didn't know about. So available in stores Wednesday, June 7th is The Walking Dead 168 and The Divided States of Hysteria #1. Available in stores Wednesday, June 14th is Bitch Planet Triple Feature #1 and Rose #3. Then available in stores Wednesday, June 21st. And this is the bit of news that I'll come back to in a second. But Crosswind #1, that's by Gail Simone. It's a new book that she's doing, so I'll come back to that. Girl Scouts Magic Socks #4 and The Old Guard #5. And available in stores on Wednesday, June 28th. Black Magic #8, Deadly Class #29, Shutter #29, and Redneck #23. So if you're into any of these books and you're already buying them, and like it's a really easy way just to support the Pride Month thing, I guess, by like, you know, they did these covers sort of to support that, so I'm on board with it, man. That's awesome.
I dig it.
So getting back to Crosswind #1 by Gail Simone and Kat Staggs, though, this is definitely one of my favorite authors. Gail Simone, she wrote Batgirl back when Batgirl was just an amazing book in the New 52. She writes Clean Room is Clean Room is what it's called. My wife reads that one, but awesome female author. So this book, Gail Simone and Kat Staggs launch all new series Crosswind this June. Image Comics is thrilled to announce Crosswind, the brand new ongoing thriller from fan favorites Gail Simone and Kat Staggs. So a slick and ruthless Chicago hitman, a smart but downtrodden Seattle housewife. When an inexplicable event strikes these two random strangers, their bodies, souls, and lives are switched to potentially deadly effect. Gail Simone says this is possibly the most thrilling project of my career, and Kat Staggs brought her best stomping boots to the game. She's absolutely killing it. There's nothing else quite like it. It smells of gunpowder, nitro, and 1-hour hotel rooms. It's wrong and messed up, and we hope people love it as much as we do. And then Staggs says, I'm thrilled to be working with the incomparable Gail Simone in a genre that is close to my heart. The challenge of bringing these characters to life and developing their world has made this project something I'm proud of. Readers are in for a wild ride. And again, this is Crosswind #1, which is available on Wednesday, June 21st. So if you're into Gail Simone, add that to your profile.
Just the description alone, man.
Yeah, man, it sounds cool.
I want to get down with that.
Dude, Gail Simone writes some crazy shit, too, man.
Yeah.
She gets into, like, Clean Room is nuts. I read, like, isn't it crazy, Ariel? Yeah, I read the first, like, couple issues, and I just dropped off, but I almost couldn't handle the level of, like, weirdness.
How deep is it? I mean, like as far as books, how many books are out for it? Like, just a handful, or has it been out for a while? How many? 18. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they said 80. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, shit.
Cool.
Not reading that anytime soon. No. 18 is more manageable. You know what? Maybe next week we'll do Clean Room Volume 1. I think it's just going to be you and me next week.
That's Vertigo?
Yeah. Or are you going to be here next week?
Probably not.
I'll be here, but I'll be home Sunday afternoon or morning / I'll be here.
Okay. Yes. So Mondo and I and maybe one other person from my job. Maybe Ariel will sit on that one too. So we'll see what's going on. Yeah, we'll make it happen. Yeah, we'll do stuff for you guys and things. So, Dexter, do you have any news for us this week?
Yeah, I just I noticed that Top Cow is released details for a talent hunt, and usually
what is Top Cow?
Top Cow is
people who don't know.
They're somehow related to Image, and I think I'm not 100% sure how they're related or what that even means, but they seem to do a lot of things kind of jointly. I think it's maybe it's like if something's not quite up to like Image caliber, I think they might use Top Cow. I'm not 100% sure how that works.
Okay.
But so the last time they did a talent search, that's where, and I can't think of the person's name, but the creator of the comic, The Magdalena, which we covered the first issue of at least, and I think most of us liked it.
I don't remember that one.
I don't know if you read it actually, but I know I did, and we covered it. But it's about like in the Catholic Church, kind of like a Templar knight, but it's a woman.
Okay.
And she fights the demons.
Oh, yeah, okay, I remember this one. Yeah, I didn't read this one, but
But anyway, so the creator of that, and I don't know if it was that comic in particular, but was found out through the Top Cow talent search. So usually I kind of ignore whenever I see a talent hunt thing because you're probably not going to get paid, right? And it's not usually a great idea to do a talent or to like submit a piece of work to a talent thing.
And why is that?
For a publisher? Just because a lot of the smaller publishers, like whenever they do a talent search like that, they just don't seem to give good compensation.
Really,
it usually, to me, it sounds more like they're just promising you quote unquote exposure.
Which I mean can be valuable for a comic book artist, I guess, if they're starving enough. But.
Like if it's a bigger indie name like Top Cow or Image or some, where being noticed actually means something. Yeah, but if it's a smaller publisher that is more regional, like what does that mean? To get paid like $200 for one comic kind of thing.
Yeah, which is a very low amount of money.
Yeah,
for
and it seems like
pages.
And it seems like that's. I think, and I don't have any particular one to reference, but I'm pretty sure like one of the more recent ones that I remembered seeing was just like you could win $200 for them to make as much money as they can off your comic, which is just ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
So and I think like that may even be split between like the whole creative team of your comic kind of thing.
Yeah. So not good.
It's just,
especially
man, but the exposure is priceless.
Wow.
It's kind of that thing.
Okay.
So anyway,
tell me anything.
And you don't get much exposure unless it's like Top Cow or.
And that's the thing.
And
the thing is, since Top Cow has that relationship with Image. Clearly, I mean, they have proof that it can lead to bigger things. So,
sure.
And it looks like I'll have a link in the show notes. I'm reading this on cbr.com, or Comic Book Resources, and they have a bunch of information here. It looks like it's running through December 15th. So, I guess get your comic stories ready and sent in. But I don't know. It looked like one of the more decent talent hunts that I've seen. So
very cool. Awesome. Mondo, you got any news for us?
No, actually, I don't have anything off the bat. I'm just I've been trying to keep an eye out for this John Wick comic. Have you guys heard anything about this yet?
We almost interviewed the guy who did the art.
Yeah, almost.
Almost.
I need to hit him back up for that. But
yeah.
John Wick. Didn't that a movie that like some guy
There's
named...
two of them.
Don't you do this to
Giovanni Scorsese directed?
No, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a Martin Scorsese movie such as The Departed, but it was a great flick.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I had to.
Who is in that?
Man.
Who's the actor? Benicio del Toro?
I should have had my
It's George
ready. I'm so
Clooney,
sorry.
isn't it?
I'm so sorry.
Might be Clooney.
It's the same guy who directed The Godfather.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, we know who it is.
We know nothing about movies. We are not a movie podcast. So getting back to
anywho,
comics, we are going to talk about some comic books. Let's move on. All right, so moving on, we got a few comic books to talk about this week. I am going to pass things off to Dexter. What do you want to talk about first, Dexter?
I want to talk about Plaxis because I liked it.
Okay,
a little close to the mic.
So Plaxis, man, my comics aren't normally where they were. Okay, so
well,
Plaxis,
it's kind of out of order in the file. I felt like.
Yes. Yeah. So the creative team on this is.
I think it's just one person.
Yeah. Oh no, not Amnesia Cycle. That's that's one of the stories in it. Dustin Weaver. I'm sorry. Yeah, Dustin Weaver did it.
It's kind of like I don't know what you'd call this. It's a collection of like 3 or 4 stories.
Yeah,
it's like Twilight Zone-y type stuff, where it's like little short stories. Is that,
and they seem to be Twilight Zone kind of psychological horror. It reminded me, especially the first story, in there a lot of like a Franz Kafka kind of thing. If you're into just regular old
Black
literature,
Mirror.
But I think that's what I liked about it because in high school, like one of my favorite authors, I suppose, was Franz Kafka, and reading his short stories,
cool.
I enjoyed a lot. And so, like to really, I guess, dive into it, the first one, it's almost like a reverse Metamorphosis, one of Franz Kafka's books, where it's about a guy who turns into a bug.
Yeah.
So this is about a guy who thinks he's a bug turning into a human.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it really ever reveals what was going on.
No.
So Mushroom Bodies is what it's called, which is apparently a reference to, I think, the way the brain works in the bugs. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
They referenced it later, yeah.
Totally weird.
But yeah, so this guy, it starts off, he's just sitting on a couch. It's just a dude with a giant, what looks like a cockroach? I don't know. And he's convinced that he's engaged to, or that he is a cockroach, and that he's engaged to this cockroach, and that's weird because bugs don't get married. And he doesn't want this cockroach to realize what he's thinking, that he's weirding out all of a sudden about everything because he's afraid of what she'll do to him. And then all of a sudden she's a human, and then he's going to therapy about it, and then they're at a party with a ton of people, which I realize when they're at the party that like he's probably in a giant swarm of bugs. Basically, and he's just seeing it as people, if he is the bug kind of thing.
Well, and then we see a giant swarm of bugs.
Well, and then he goes to the bathroom to freak out a little bit, and then when he comes out, it's just a giant swarm of bugs, and then it ends with him in this hallway that he keeps dreaming about, and he goes into this like the only door that's open in the hallway, but it's just pitch black in there, and then he wakes up in a bed with a rather giant cockroach on like the pillow next to him.
I mean, it's like the length of his head almost.
Yeah.
From antenna to butt. Do cockroaches have butts? Is that a thing? I don't know. Anyway, we don't have to answer that. So. A thorax.
I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, so I thought the title of this being Mushroom Buddies, I just saw the word mushroom, and I thought it was just some weird like mushroom trip, he was having. Like I thought he was like on psychedelics or something. But your version makes a lot more sense. So the artwork though, man, so cool.
No, it is. It's really good art. And apparently like that was the struggle that this guy, if you read at the very end of the whole comic, this particular story was like is a story that had been in his head for a long time that actually came from a dream he had.
Oh, really?
But he didn't think his artwork was up to par to actually tell it right until now. So that's kind of exciting, I think, to see an artist be able to get this story out.
And the art kind of reminds me. Have you guys ever heard of R. Crumb? He did weird comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you guys have both. I'm surprised you guys have heard of him.
I think I heard about him.
Okay. Yeah, because he's kind of like he was more of an underground sort of thing. I mean, not underground. He's very popular in the illustration world. Like if people like to draw comics like this, like I guarantee this guy's heard of R. Crumb. But yeah, I mean, he's not acknowledged like in the Jim Lee world, of big. American comic books. So it reminds me of that just in the sense of how weird it is, and some of the cross hatching and stuff like that is just it looks like it was inked in a traditional fashion, maybe.
Chiaroscuro shading.
Yeah.
I just wanted
I don't know what that means, but
shading. Okay. It's the way you do dash lines and then do dash lines.
Oh, cross hatch. So it's like another way
like
to
cross hatch. Yeah.
So yeah, man, it was like a fever dream, which I mean. Some like
dreams. Those are the worst.
Yeah, I know, right? But I think it was intended to be like a fever dream.
Yeah, and it feels that way reading it. Well, because the guy's like wigging out the whole time.
Yeah, so
kind of like a bug.
See, I like the fact that because sometimes when there's
bugging
stories
out. All right. Anyway,
sometimes the stories that are fever dreams like this, they can be a little disjointed and not tell a good story.
Yeah.
Where this, like in the beginning, I'm like, what the hell's going on with this? And it was a good confusion where sometimes it can be a very bad confusion where it's like, I don't know what the hell's happening. Like, I didn't know what was happening, but I was still with it. And I still wanted to know where it was going, and it kept me interested.
Yeah.
So it did a great job of doing that, but keeping it just ambiguous enough to make me want a little more and keep taking the breadcrumbs. So
totally.
I love that about it.
Yeah. Well, and I liked how it still even ends kind of where ambiguous, and you're not 100% sure what's going on. Like, he wakes up as a human, but then, like, what's the deal with the giant bug? So then is he a human who's engaged to a bug?
And it has a human silhouette in the bug. Did you see that
weird,
part?
Yeah.
So is that implying something? Like, I think it's leaving it open for discussion, obviously, and for interpretation.
Or is that the dream of the bug?
Right. Oh. So which one are we dealing with here?
Yeah. So which is the point, I think, and which is what makes it enjoyable.
I like it.
Totally.
And then moving on, so there's two more stories. There's one that's just a huge splash page of what appears to be a black hole, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, like I had to turn my computer vertically to even read
that
it.
was the annoying thing, was to read this on a laptop. Because, it's
I had to keep
all of a sudden
angle.
there are two... Yeah. There are two pages.
Which on a tablet, it's annoying.
Because you turn it.
I had to keep it angled like at a degree.
You can lock it, actually.
I didn't
but
think
anyway.
about it.
So it's just 2 pages, which is interesting. And it's about this guy. He's in a space station talking to a dude who's like his dad's friend. And so it turns out his dad is a scientist and he blew himself up or something. I don't remember. And so then his son, who turned out to be a pilot in this intergalactic war going on, is going to the center of the universe or something like that to find his dad. and it's just really weird because then there's like a back. So it's only 2 pages, and there's like a flashback.
They covered a lot of ground in 2 pages.
Yeah, they did
not waste any time.
And it's really funny because like when he's in the flashback with his dad like apparently blew up his body, and so he has this like robot body on loan. While his real body gets repaired,
regenerated or something.
And then just the very last sentence or like last thought is, I was at the front within 2 weeks fighting for humanity against the Cytrons. That was the last time I saw my father. Well, the head of my father, which I just thought was funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a story that I don't know. It's not even a story really. It's just it's like a bit of a story that. Is weird.
It feels like Sunday morning comic strips, you know. Where you get a quick snip, like a couple of bars, and it's gone. You know.
So I mean, hopefully, since this is like a collection of short stories, it seems like in the next issue maybe we'll get a little bit more about this guy.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. But so then the main meat of the story, like the main comic, which is about
Amnesia Cycle. Yeah,
which is actually like the length of a real comic. Is pretty interesting. It's just about a pilot who is a scout of sorts during this wartime. It looks like she's looking for the enemy just on these random dead planets or just planets that don't have inhabitants. And she runs or sees an asteroid or a meteor hit, and it turns out to be this alien that they're not looking for. But the alien claims to be a captain of some ship somewhere, and so then they let her. Or this pilot lets her try to call her ship from her fighter jet, and then takes her back to her main ship where no one's happy about it, and then they're going to get taken into the brig, and then they escape, and then she finds the aliens that she was actually looking for, who apparently found like some very important ship vessel that they name, so it must mean something. Mm-hmm. And so then she pursues them, and it sounds like a really big deal. We have to, I guess, wait to really see where that's going. And sounds interesting. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure like what was going on.
She's like assisting
now that I'm
alien.
talking about it.
Yeah. Well, to get away, and she's betraying her own like cause, so to speak. It kind of reminded me of in the beginning of episode 7 of Star Wars. When they're trying to get Finn, Finn's helping them escape. Similar,
Similar, except
he's
for
I got to get away, but except not quite the same, I guess. But that's what it reminded me of.
And she's not helping a rebel. It's just some like rando alien that they think is a spy.
Which they're not happy about because they're like, look, we don't give a shit. She shouldn't be here. We need to take her, get rid of her.
And they think she's a spy.
Right.
And so I guess, it
kind of reminded me of that. It's not the same, obviously, but it drew that same line for me a little bit.
Yeah. And it's interesting because then she pursues the enemies who salvaged that ship because she thinks that they kidnapped the alien that she found. I can't think of the names.
Yeah, and we don't want to spoil like every front to back.
I mean, there's a lot more in here than what we're saying. A lot of, like relationship stuff, and so it basically ends where they're just pursuing everything that I guess is going on, and I mean, it's worth reading, even though we said a bunch about it already, because I am thoroughly looking forward to the next issue.
Totally.
And we didn't cover everything to a T, guys. So I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff in there. Relationship stuff like between her and like her ex, and then he's dating somebody else, and that stuff. You gotta like it all ties it together. It's a pretty good read once you start getting your mind wrapped around what's happening.
Well, and the art in this book is really good too. I mean, it's the same artist, I suppose, that we already kind of covered. Same style of art, but there's a lot going on because a couple planets with just really cool looking vegetation, the different alien races species going on, and stuff like that.
How did you guys feel about the art? Like, did it grab you? Did it like?
I thought it was fantastic.
I liked it a lot. It's a little like not very clean lines, I suppose, but I liked that. There's a lot of like action lines that were done well. I think there was one spot where like the paneling got a little confusing and I wasn't sure how to read it, but I got past that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite, but I enjoyed it though.
It kind of reminded me. We're talking about this last part, right?
What part?
The last story.
Yeah.
Amnesia Cycle.
Yeah.
So, it kind of reminded me of a mixture of, like, Jeff Lemire's stuff if you mixed it with maybe some other sci-fi. Like, it's not quite as dreamy and watercolor-y as Jeff Lemire's stuff.
Yeah. But it's about as, like,
you know what I'm talking about, Mondo, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. But so it kind of has that sort of light sort of watercolory feeling with just the light colors and low opacities.
A lot of pastels.
And stuff. Yeah, totally. But it's not, like Dex said, it's not quite as dreamy. So, really enjoyed this one. Let's talk ratings on just the book as a whole for PAX List number 1. I'm going to go... I don't know. Like, for me, it was like a 7.5 or an 8, I think.
Bastard. Yeah. You took my number.
I know. We're, like, always on the same place.
Let's say 7.75.
Okay.
No, I'm going to say... I was going to say... I just wanted to be...
Yeah.
Just going to be that guy.
I was going to say...
No, he's got to go against the grain.
A solid 8 for the whole thing. Especially just because it does raise a lot of questions, and out of context of, like, any further story, like, I'm very interested to see where it's going.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. The 7.5 is where I'm at on it. I like books that have the little short stories, little nuggets of story, and it ties it all up a little bit, and then it gives you a little something to wait for next week. I feel like when you break it up like that, you can digest it a little better sometimes, rather than reading a long book. And those are fine too, but just like 3 little short stories, boom, 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 I'm done. Okay, cool. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was nice to sort of like get those digestible pieces of story.
And they're all different flavors too, so a little something different. So.
Oh, okay. Actually, and at the end here, I was just looking. It looks like there's in the next issue, there's Sagittarius. So that one middle story that was just the 2 panels or the 2 pages was called Sagittarius A with an asterisk. And so there's going to be a sequel to that as well as the Amnia cycle. So the next issue is those 2 stories.
Nice. All right, so we are going to move things on to Joe Golem, Occult Detective, Outer Dark number 1. And I'll just read the solicit from Comixology for this.
Good call.
2 years after he killed a child-snatching monster and stopped an undead takeover in the drowning city, occult detective Joe Golem searches for a man with superhuman strength who's attacking citizens under orders from the otherworldly voices in his head. But Joe has his own demons to wrestle with. Joe Golem continues to be everything you could possibly want to be. Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden are a heck of a team, and Patrick Reynolds continues to complement them perfectly by bringing unique words to life stunningly with his art. So this one is actually by Mike Mignola, which he did the Hellboy universe. He did Lobster Johnson, which goes in the Hellboy universe. Yep. Does this belong to the Hellboy universe, Dexter?
I don't know.
I would guess like it does.
I would guess not, actually, but just because it seems to be creating its own universe because of the whole whatever it was called, the city that they're in, like where it looks flooded. I don't know because Hellboy exists.
Drowning City?
The Drowning City, yeah. Which makes a lot of sense. I was wondering, like, what city are they in? Like, it looks like it's flooded.
Yeah, it does. And the cityscapes in this were really cool. Before we got the timestamps that showed us what dates this took place in, I was trying to, like, look at sort of the signage and stuff and figure out, like, if I could figure out... Yeah, do you ever do that when you, like, they don't tell you where or when this is taking place and you see a cityscape and you try and figure out just by looking at it?
Given to you to figure it out.
Pull a little Sherlock Holmes action.
I get like that sometimes.
So I just got done watching Sherlock on Netflix. And
good show.
Oh, man. So good. Very good.
I think that you do that, though, because you want to process and put it all together, like, okay, this is taking place during this time period, which makes sense why this is happening and why I'm seeing these things. I mean, it's a natural thing to want to do that.
Yeah, it's just they're dropping you into a setting and you're trying to sort of figure it out or whatever, piece it together. So.
And I just confirmed Joe Golem takes place outside of the Mignola-verse.
Okay, cool. But I think that makes sense because it doesn't seem much like, I don't know, it just has that Hellboy, it has that Mignola feeling to it. It feels like a Hellboy novel. And I've read very little of Hellboy, but I do know what it feels like to be in that book or to read it. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was full of action. It had some sort of weird sci-fi things going on, like the guy with stars in his eyes and stuff. I mean, that was really cool. There's a nice little sort of love story sort of, or a drama going on between him and his girlfriend or wife or whoever it is.
I have to admit, it grew on me.
They're dating, but because there's an issue with him and the girl, like the girl staying over because the landlord doesn't seem to apparently like that they're not married and she might be staying over. And she's like weirded out by him and doesn't want the confrontation.
Sure. We've all been there.
She's like, why don't you just tell him, dude? Like, what's
going on? She wants to
just
get it over with, and he doesn't want to have like that conversation.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he's not your dad. She even says like, he's not your dad.
Yeah.
And I will say, the artwork has a very classic feel, like a very, very just like
very classic.
It's very artsy, like painted feel.
Oh, it reminds me a lot of man. He's the guy who he's one of my favorite comic book artists. He did The Long Halloween. The Long Halloween.
For me, I enjoyed it as far as the art, but they were there every now and again. They were like facial.
Yeah, I
things that I didn't care for.
Every so often, I had that issue.
Yeah, but otherwise,
Tim Sale.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
but just kind of like flat expression.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, it grew on me in the beginning. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this art.
Yeah,
but the story's good, and then by the end of it, I was like, that was pretty good. You know, it got me. I enjoyed it.
Noir, you think?
Little noir.
It has a noir feel to it. I feel like
it's noir.
You know,
this one time my wife sat here. We were talking about something, but she counted the number of times we said noir.
We covered like 2 comics.
We've already hit
they were both noir.
Yeah.
She was
so
like,
there was a lot of noir talk.
Yeah, she was like, you guys said noir like 30 times.
Aria, would you want to be in a noir with us?
Yeah,
I believe it was. She stated that it would be a good drinking game to take a shot every time we said noir.
Yeah, she did say that. Yeah,
we've been roasted already. It's like 10 times already.
I know, right?
We said noir, which is 11 now.
What do we have to say?
Noir.
Noir. Oh, okay.
Noir. Yes.
Yeah. 15. Cool.
What's the deal? Okay, he's just what's the deal at the beginning of this with this like mongoloid that's watching him while he sleeps?
That's a golem.
Oh, is he dreaming?
So the golem protected him from the witches.
Well, whoa, sorry. Do you guys know what a golem is? I guess just to establish what a golem is.
Like my precious type thing.
No.
That's Smeagol.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
but no. A golem is is a creature that's created from like other things. So a typical creature, like this one, seems to be. Usually they're made to be protectors. Yeah. Yes. This one appears to be made from clay. I think. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. A lot of times there might be stone golems. I think there might be a Pokemon that's a golem.
Okay.
But in one of the stories I'm writing, actually, there are stone golems where
cool.
It's kind of just like a mass of rocks that have like a spirit living inside of it that then creates a body out of an object.
Sure.
Typically, it's stone. If you play any of the old Final Fantasies, like 1 through 6,
you're talking about language.
Yeah, there are like some stone golems. I think 5 might have even had clay golems, stuff like that.
Cool.
So, yep.
Nice.
Awesome. That's awesome.
He's dreaming about, like, he wakes up in a bed and there's just this golem standing in the room staring at him. I mean, but it's just a doll essentially. But a lot of times they would, like wizards or witches would give them like magical powers. So then when whatever certain thing happened, it would kind of spring to life and become a protector.
Okay,
or sometimes they might be sent to go do a task of some sort, like to kill somebody. But in these dreams that he seems to be having, this golem is protecting him and has protected him in the past from what they say from these witches. So I've not read the first story arc of this because this is the second story arc of Joe Golem.
Okay,
and none of us have read the first story arc, so I don't know if this is referencing.
So that leads me to believe that these things that are attacking him in this dream state are going to start, in some way, shape, or form, manifest themselves in the real world.
You'd think,
and he's going to have, quote unquote, a golem that's going to protect him in some way. Huh?
Or is he the golem? His name is Golem.
Maybe he. Oh, nice. I see what you did there.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I have literally no idea. Yeah,
it's fun to think about it. That works.
So let's talk ratings on this one. I'll let you go first, so I don't steal your number, Mondo. What are you thinking? Hold on. Let me think of my rating.
Yeah.
First.
Get yours going first. You know.
Okay. All right. What are you gonna rate it? I have mine in mind.
Initially, it was a lower score as I was reading it in the beginning because I wasn't getting into it. But by the end, I liked it a lot. I'll probably have to give it maybe like I'll give it an 8.
I
enjoyed it.
I'm at 7.5. So
okay, close enough.
I was gonna say 7.5.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
I'm not sure because I'm not sure if this is a story that's gonna really develop into anything that
I'm hoping the noir part of it comes out more.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
We can always get into
Specifically,
noir.
I enjoyed the noir.
The thing about noir,
I didn't mean to get it going.
It's so
again.
noir.
But
I mean, I'd hate to see this get too much into like a romantic comedy, but the noir.
Yeah,
we got to find
noir,
a way to say
right?
noir.
Yeah.
It was the Dark Detective comic as a noir.
I don't know, man.
So yeah, we like this one though, man. If you like Mignola, definitely check it out. I think it's something that you'll dig. Dark Horse starts with a D, so does Dynamite, and I am going to talk a little bit about a Dynamite comic that someone sent me.
Oh yeah.
It's not something that I'll probably read it because of the fact that they sent me this. It seems like they're very excited about this. It's Matt Miner who sent it to me, and it is a comic about. It seems to be about the band GWAR. Do either of you like GWAR?
The band GWAR. No, but Beavis and Butthead love GWAR.
Beavis and Butthead, yeah.
I'm not the only reason I know what
I'm not a fan of GWAR. I know of GWAR. I've heard
I'm
not of music.
I'm not a fan either. I just know nothing about them. I know they're very weird, and I can get behind anything that's very weird.
Yeah,
so,
weird is good.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo, so I definitely support other weirdos. But this GWAR comic is called GWAR Orgasmageddon. Yeah, and it seems
delightful.
And what? Yeah, so
really relaxing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds relaxing. Sounds like I can get behind that.
There's a climactic moment at the end.
Oh yeah,
yeah. All right,
wait,
sorry.
What?
I don't know. Anyway, got real weird real quick. But hey, I said it was a weird book. So, so they did actually say to me, you don't need to be a GWAR fan to have a great time with this book.
Yeah.
I promise is what he said. So it just looks like a weird zany adventure through GWAR and sort of just picture GWAR in a weird comic book adventure setting. This guy worked his ass off on this book, though. I mean, he said it's taken about 2 years for him to get this point. It looks like he introduced GWAR, or he introduced this to GWAR's lawyer. And then he went to GWAR and was like, hey, can I write your book? And then he brought it to a Kickstarter, then pitched it a little more, and then now is where they are, and they're at Dynamite Comics. They're being published. So, I mean, it's pretty cool to get an email from someone. And they actually sent it to the Nerd Church Radio email.
Nice.
And I sort of forwarded it to this podcast because we do DC Comics on that one. So it's, we got it to the right place. I am going to read it. I'll send it to you guys too if you want to read it. It's definitely something I'll read the first issue of just because the guy took enough time to email me about it and whatever, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. We love it when people send stuff our way, and we will help you promote it in any way that we can. If it's something that falls within the type of stuff that we normally look at, and I think this does fall within those confines. So it looks like a Dynamite comic, and it looks like something we would normally cover.
Hell yeah,
so
that stuff's cool, man. And we're just regular dudes that are loving the stuff that we read and play and all that stuff. So other guys are out there doing the same thing. Send that stuff in, man. We want to hear about it.
Totally, we love it. So
Definitely.
it makes me super happy to see someone who was just like, hey, I'm gonna make this, and sort of talk to their lawyer about it, and start a Kickstarter, and then they eventually got to the point where they're published by Dynamite and stuff. And speaking of Kickstarters, so I started doing this podcast a few months back, probably 3 or 4 months ago with Dexter. This was already established when I started with him, and he allowed us to add this podcast to his feed because it fit more within his confines. At that time, he started introducing me to people who were doing Kickstarters. We started interviewing people, or he had already been interviewing, but I got the privilege to sit in on those interviews and talk to people, and I donated to some Kickstarters. And now, months later, I'm starting to get shit in the mail from people.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, man. I got a postcard the other day from these people I donated to. They're Kickstarter funded. They're making a comic called Jupiter Jet. And they actually run a podcast called Geek History Lesson. But they sent me a postcard and some stickers and a note that said,
That's
hey,
nice.
they were like, she wrote something really funny. She said, your outfit looks awesome today. I just wanted to let you know. And I thought that was funny. But, it's just because they live out.
You just stand there in your
somewhere.
underwear sweet.
Yeah.
Maybe she saw a picture you posted on the internet.
No, I don't.
And she assumed you hadn't changed yet.
Yeah, not yet.
It's my favorite shirt.
Yeah. No, but it's so cool, man. And I remember there's 2 other Kickstarters that I donated to that I know I'll be getting stuff in the mail from at some point because I do know they funded.
Yeah.
So it just makes me so happy. It's so cool.
I think I have like 5 different comics coming soon.
Yeah,
that I've backed that haven't come out yet, and I know a couple of them I opted to get like 2 of to do a giveaway on the show.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and I would definitely advise like everyone that listens to our show, man. Yeah. Like if we ever point out a Kickstarter or whatever, just donate the bottom level. If you have like an extra $5 generally is what it is, or a couple bucks.
You can even donate just $1.
Yeah, but
which
like,
you don't get anything usually.
Yeah, generally they have levels. So if you donate like $5, generally they'll give you like a digital copy and maybe a sticker or something.
Yeah,
and I generally jump up to like $10 to where like I get like a book in the mail or something, and it's just so cool because it's like someone worked their. It's not like a DC Comics thing where it's corporate and stuff. Like someone worked their ass off, like their blood, sweat, and tears went into this. Yeah. So it's like it's cool to get that in the mail and see it. So I really enjoy that. So
well, and one tip that I've heard too, if you ever plan on running a Kickstarter to fund your comic, what you should do is just fund other comics on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
If anything, just to see how the process works. So even if you're only donating $1, it gets you in as part of the process, and then you're getting the emails and you're seeing you're getting at least updates and stuff, and seeing how other people are managing their Kickstarters.
Yeah,
and so then like you can see the good ones and the bad ones, just to see like maybe what you should be doing when you run yours.
It's just a great way to network, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like
for sure.
it's another good thing is like, you know, I don't know, like I've donated to people, and I think that's maybe how we got some patrons, or that's also just how we got some listeners or some subscribers.
It's a positive thing, man. In a world where everything is like always point out the negative, man. It's nice to see, you know, creators helping each other out. You know, they're pulling each other up to the next level.
Yeah,
and supporting each other's passions, man. I mean, that's what it's all about.
And in the end, we're all like, we're all really doing the same thing. I mean, we're like trying to do something with the thing we like to do. You know, some people like to make comics, and they're pushing that, and we like to talk a lot, so we're pushing our podcast. You know, I mean, that's just like, so it's cool to support stuff. We got 10 minutes left here, so I'm going to move things on to our final book of the week, Think Tank Animal number 3. All right, so Think Tank Animal volume 3. No, not volume 3.
Go back to the back of it.
All right, so Think Tank number 4. End of story arc. Will WW3 start over the Russian-Estonian invasion? The incumbent president is caught in a scandal, and it looks like a religious ideology.
Ideology?
No, GUE. I don't know what that word is.
Ideologue?
Yeah, anyway, we'll win the White House. How does Turkey play into the future of NATO's plans? This could be the most prescient and frightening issue of Think Tank so far. I will say that's the most difficult paragraph I've ever read in my life. So I'm off my game today, guys. Sorry about that. So Think Tank Animal number 3, though. I read half of this, man. I'm taking a math class this semester, so I literally, there was not enough time to read 3 comic books, which is sad to say. But I got halfway through it. I've always liked this series. It's definitely something I'm going to finish in a couple days when I get some time. But it's just kind of a spy sort of thing with a couple weird twists that is pretty fun. So what did you think of it, Mondo?
I have a love-hate relationship with this series for some reason. Yeah, like there's times where I like the familiarity of like the things they're talking about, because it does parallel, you know, political climate that we're dealing with right now in some ways.
Yep.
It's very referential in the sense of it literally says, like, you know, they reference Facebook and they reference you know, different brand names and stuff like that, like in our world and stuff like that. So
there's like tweets and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
So the fun way that they toss that stuff in, I enjoy. But then there's times where it takes me out of it, because typically, like we always talk about escapism and things like that, I feel like it's almost too on the nose with certain like political things, and it makes me like, this is good, but it's
really
like
want to read
I kind of
want to
read about somebody doing magic or something, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry.
Can we start killing people now?
Yeah. And the cool thing about it too that I did enjoy is that it kind of makes me feel like I'm reading a more serious version of Archer, in a sense, because he's kind of like, you know, Archer,
definitely
and
has that feel.
She's like Lana, and he's like pining over her, but it's like a more serious version of it. In a way.
I agree very much. Yeah,
that part I definitely enjoy. But yeah, I enjoy the book. It just sometimes it's like a little too on the nose for political stuff and things like that. So
I hear that. Do you feel comfortable rating it?
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you rate it?
It's not bad for sure. I would definitely give it maybe like 7.5.
Cool.
I know we won 7.5s today, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't want to rate it because I didn't read all of it yet. I'll get back to you guys though. It is something I'm going to keep on reading, and Dexter didn't read this one.
No, I didn't.
So, but Dexter, you have something you wanted to plug on this. What do you got?
There's a comic. When I went to Wizard World when I was here in Des Moines, I ran into a local fella who has a comic called. It's a really long name, and all I remember is Cowgirl Ninja. It's Dustin's Caffeinated Cowgirl Ninja Niece.
Nice.
The story actually comes from...
Is this on the drive, by the way?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool.
So the story actually comes from his niece. The guy who wrote his name is Dustin Smith, I believe. And it's about... I think it's technically... the main character is based on his niece. So Dustin's over-caffeinated Cowgirl Ninja Niece kind of comes from that. But that being said, it's kind of a manga sort of style, like
anime-ish.
Anime, as far as like the style of the art goes. And this is a very origin issue. So if you're not, so it's a little bit of a slow read because of it being an origin and not knowing anything about these characters yet. So there's just kind of like a lot of information and a lot of just doing things, and not a lot of like just outright fighting necessarily. There is a lot of action, but it's just kind of like more story based, I guess. So basically it's about a girl who is in. Whoops! I'm trying to read the comic; it's too small. But in Poland, I think, during World War II. And the Nazis are raiding her house, and she's the only one who survives because they knew that 8 people lived there, and her uncle was visiting, and so they they take everyone except for one away, and they meant to kill her uncle, and then they didn't know she was hidden, and so anyway, he gets sent to a hospital, and then. But he tells her before, like, they got raided to go, that if anything ever happens, go, which is kind of weird. Mm-hmm. If anything ever happens, go to, like, this place. And then she ends up coming to America, and gets trained as a cowgirl, and then gets sent to Japan. No, gets sent to somewhere else, trains as a wrestler, and then trained as a ninja. This whole comic book. So That's how you get the Cowgirl Ninja, and then she's also a wrestler. And I think in the next issue, she actually even gets trained as a boxer. Or maybe that happened in this one. But it's just kind of a lot of silliness going on. It very much kind of reads like a story an uncle might tell his niece. But it's still kind of... I've never gotten that much into manga, I suppose, and I don't know how much this even like leans.
It definitely
on
looks like manga,
but it kind of has a feel of like a Dragon Ball Z kind of like just goofiness going on, like on the more goofier.
It jumps around. It jumps around a little bit too, and they even have a funny reference here to like LeBron James.
Well, it's funny because at the very end he even it says. Think you caught all of the WWE references in the issue. What about the Hey Dude and Nurse Jackie Tom Robbins novels?
Yeah.
Say Anything lyrics for all the references and foreign swears you missed. Check out reference.cowgirlninja.com.
So they're very aware that they're putting all these things in there for you to like kind of like catch up on.
Apparently, which I didn't realize. And I completely missed most of the references, even though I totally remember watching Hey Dude. It was a great show.
Hey Dude was awesome.
It was a good show.
No idea.
Don't go back and watch it.
No,
it's not good for you. But it's good for us.
You needed to be like 8 years old when you watched.
I think I watched. I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah,
it was good. Yeah.
It was on with like at the same time as Salute Your Shorts.
Salute Your Shorts, Camp Anawana.
So
anyway,
people, we got about 2.5 minutes left. So if people want to find out more information about this, where can they find
it? I think cowgirlninja.com possibly. Definitely facebook.com/cowgirlninja will get you to the Facebook page for it.
Awesome. Very cool. So with that, I will just some parting thoughts. You guys, as always, please like, rate, subscribe, review. We do love those iTunes reviews and the 5-star reviews. Please tweet at us at Indie Comic Ninja. Email us at info@indiecomic.ninja. Call us at 641-715 3900 extension 345703. And if you want to reach me personally on Twitter, I am at IndieComicBen. Dexter, where can we find you?
At IndieComicDex.
And Mondo.
At NerdyRomondo on Instagram and Twitter.
And then if you like DC comic books, you can find my podcast, Nerd Church Radio. We talk about all the DC weekly releases. And if you like video games, check out Mondo's podcast. It's Glitch Therapy. And that's all we got for you guys this week. Have a nice week.
Take care.
Bye.